tech industry slashed over 38,000 jobs last month. Some corporate strategy bets just don't pay off. Thank you. I'm here all week. Try the veal. And not all layoffs were bad. Karma's a bitch and remains undefeated. All that and more on the Summer of George edition of The Layoff Desk. Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Becker, and welcome to The Layoff Desk. Each week, okay, not every week, I highlight the absurdity of recent job losses, mock companies and their bullshit narrative for destroying jobs, and hopefully bring a little humor to an otherwise soul-crushing situation. I also share legit career tips to help those impacted by layoffs. Before we get started, if you enjoyed this, be sure to hit like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, don't tell anyone. Just pretend you were never here. If it felt like every headline in May involves someone losing their job in tech, that's because it basically did. U.S. tech companies announced over 38,000 layoffs in May alone, pushing tech's 2026 layoff total past 123,000 jobs. You know, at this point, the only thing worse than having a job in tech is explaining to your kids why they're not going to university because dad spent their college fund on Game 3 tickets to the NBA Finals. This week, banking giant Standard Chartered announced plans to eliminate nearly 8,000 jobs. CEO Bill Winters explained that the bank would replace lower value human capital with AI and technology. You know, if your CEO refers to employees as lower value human capital, you've crossed into Bond villain territory. That's not leadership philosophy. That's a rejected line from a dystopian movie where the robots win. Gambling.com Group announced a 25% reduction in its workforce last month. I actually had never heard of this company, and when I researched, I found out they were headquartered in the Channel Island of Jersey. Jersey. When reached for comment, their CEO said, and if you're at work, mute your speakers.
Remember, I'm the motherfucking one who calls the shots.
Finally, layoff announcements at a couple companies I didn't even know were still around. Last week, Groupon announced it was laying off 400 employees, representing nearly a quarter of its global workforce. Which means somewhere there's an employee who had to explain to their family that they got laid off from Groupon. And their family responded, no, seriously, where did you work? And on the same day, website builder Wix sliced 1,000 jobs. Imagine surviving every round of layoffs at Yahoo, Sears, Radio Shack, Blockbuster, only to lose your job at Wix in 2026. That's like getting eaten by the last dinosaur after the asteroid hit. On to this week's career tip. Since so many jobs are being cut in the name of AI, knowing how risky your job is to AI disruption is really important. That's why I recommend My Career Navigator. My Career Navigator delivers personalized risk scores, skills insights, transition planning, resume refinement, and even interview practice to support job seekers navigating an AI-driven workforce. The best part, it's free and only takes 3 minutes. Check for the link in the show's description. That's it for this week. Be sure to visit thelayoffdesk.com to see all the past shows and all my career resources. And tune in next week for another edition of The Layoff Desk. Dirk, take me home.
Shut it down! Oh,